some point I want to rewrite them, or maybe have the children put on costumes and act out Madame Curie in her laboratory and the importance of her studies with radioactivity. I have glow sticks in the back of the time machine that says danger, radioactivity. And if you reach in there with salad tongs, you can take out a glow stick. And tell them how to handle radioactive materials. And yeah, I've had a lot of fun building this. And but it takes a trailer and 2 men and 2 hours to set up. So I'm taking a break and not touring with it. But it would make a field trip someday, maybe. But I'm told that you have to pick just one project by David. Either you're doing a field trip or you're showing movies or something. Yeah. Isn't that true? One project a year.
Well, we can certainly all share some more ideas and suggestions for you to maybe incorporate the time capsule prop, which I think is so cool. And I think the kids would love to engage with that, unpack it somehow, maybe even if it's recorded, if it can't be a live experience moving forward. But there are probably ways to incorporate the hands-on, what would be the field trip or in-school experience with something that you can do via distance learning. Plus, you're already there with printed material too. So I think that's pretty good. Don't you all think?
Okay,
Yeah.
well, next time I'll show some. Special effects. I'm experimenting with methods to make movies float in midair.
Oh, very cool. Almost like holograms or something. That's fun.
LED fans, from China.
Oh, very cool.
Right.
I think that's so inventive, and I think that it really speaks to being a creator. And there's probably a lot of great connections that we can think about as we're all doing our work moving forward. But thank you again for sharing that, a very brief kind of a preview of what you've been working on. And I think for us, let's think about this some more. Let's think about how we can help each other, because that's what this is all about. These forums and conversations are all about. We're going to dedicate our Tech Tuesdays to also be a good teaching artist kind of support Crit Tuesdays in the kindest way, so we can all help each other. So to be continued next week. Without further delay, I want to introduce our guest speaker today from Tama. And Tama, excuse me. Before we get there, Teaching Artists of Mid-Atlantic, just everyone, just a raise of hands. How many folks are either members or know about Tama? Yes? Yep. Hi, I would hope you do, yes. Certainly we have Jennifer would be a member, right? Yes. So it's a great organization, had an opportunity to learn a lot about what Tama has been working on. Last year, when the DC Collaborative in partnership with the DC Commission on Arts and Humanities held our first, and we hope not last, but we will have more when we can all get together again, Teaching Artists Institute. And it was great for Jennifer to share what Tama is, and for folks to get engaged. And for us now today, let's talk a bit about what you all are up to now and how we can support each other. So Jennifer, if I hand the virtual mic to you now.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for giving me this time today, and Tracy as well. Can everyone give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Good, excellent. And I'm just gonna hope that everyone who is not on video can hear as well. I'm the co-founder and vice president of TAMA, and we are a free organization. There's no membership dues, and we are an organization that is grassroots. We are by, for, and about teaching artists. I wanted to take a little poll first before I started. So if you could just raise your hand if you're on video, if you lost 30% or more of your income beginning last month. I did. 50% or more? 80% or more? 100%? That would be me. This is why TAMA is here for times like these and beyond. I also want to take a little poll to see how many of you wrote and elected officials to share your story about your experience and your loss of income and your need for financial relief in the legislative package that was passed. Alrighty. That's another thing that we do. We advocate. And then how many of you are using online platforms like Zoom to hold a virtual classroom of sorts? This is my virtual classroom that you are in now. So raise your hand if you are doing any kind of that at this point. Yeah, great. So the week that everything, my personal schedule started to unravel in March, I was contacted by the Association of Teaching Artists. The executive director of that organization lives in Seattle currently. The Association of Teaching Artists is a national organization for teaching artists that is based out of New York City. And she contacted me because Washington State had closed schools long before our area had. And they wanted to create a webinar that would support teaching artists across the nation. And so the very next week, we hosted a webinar with 5 other organizations. And the part of that webinar can actually be found online on the, I could share my screen and share that. Let's see. Let's see. It's not letting, I guess I could just do portion of screen. What do you guys see? No, stop that. Sorry, you guys. I see something different. It doesn't say share Firefox, but I'll do this. That's what I'll do. Usually when on mine. Okay, so this is the teaching artists of the Mid-Atlantic, our website, TAMA's website, and it's teachingartists.org. But then the Association of Teaching Artists, this webinar. Over 700 teaching artists attended this webinar, and it's here for you guys to continue to access. Has a lot of great resources in it that are still relevant. I was able to reach out, connect with a labor lawyer during that, who came to that session and spoke about labor law. His name is David, and David Wright, and he works in Baltimore. The thing that came out of that session was that he said, we need to right away begin writing elected officials. And so I heard that, and I got right away started on drafting a customizable letter for teaching artists to use. And the Teaching Artists of the Mid-Atlantic and the Teaching Artists Guild, which is another national organization, they are based in California. Let's see here, this is their website. The Teaching Artists Guild reviewed the letter, and they added some things, and then we came up with this customizable letter that you can still continue to access. And look, it looks like somebody is on there right now, which is great. In the first 2 weeks that this letter went up, because it's in the Teaching Artists of the Mid-Atlantic Google Drive, I was able to access it regularly. And no matter what time of day, for the first 2 weeks that this letter was up, from 6 a.m. to well beyond 10 p.m., there were at least 15 people using this letter. And so I would love to be able to have been able to track how many people actually used it, but I can't imagine it. So I believe that we had a strong impact as a collective voice to our elected officials to get freelancers and gig workers included into that legislative bill. So I'm very proud of us. And this is just one way, one demonstration of how TAMA works to advocate for teaching artists as a collective grassroots by, for, and about teaching artists organization. All right, let's see, I'm gonna go to my next thing here was our networking events. Our networks are grassroots. They happen within localities. I host a network event in Prince George's County's Gateway district, which is located between Hyattsville and Brentwood and Mount Rainier. A friend of mine hosts she's a local coordinator for a network that is in Tacoma Park. Many of us cross over those boundary lines. We either live or work across those boundary lines. I also work often in Virginia and DC. So the more networks we have, the better. We're building, this is part of our initiative, is to build the connective tissue among teaching artists across our region, so that we can support and empower each other, and when the time comes, advocate collectively when there is needs like this today in our present times. So right now, these networks are struggling to meet. So we launched a TAMA Salon series, and one of the main ones that we're doing are Monday mornings at 9:30 a.m. So I encourage you all to participate in those, and you can register an RSVP for each of the different days in the coming months for those. During those sessions, we talk about what we're doing to tackle the anxiety and stress of the loss of income and other things that we are experiencing. We also talk about how to set up an online classroom if you need it. Next week, we're going to focus on sharing a creative project that we've worked on over the course of the week. So those are some things that are coming out of that, in particular, that Monday morning TA Cafe. But there are other salon series things that we've held happy hours as well. Yesterday in our board meeting, we're grassroots, we're by, for, and about teaching artists. So we listen to and we respond to the needs of our full community. And so yesterday we discussed creating a teaching artist of color network, because I've heard from friends of mine and colleagues of mine who have had some really hard experiences in their community, and working online with students of color. So that network is going to support, do some extra support and advocacy around those experiences. If you're interested in that, please reach out to me. A woman, Wincy Terry Bryant, she's our New Jersey state director. She's going to work on getting that program launched probably next week. And then I have some other friends in the Prince George's County area, in Maryland, sorry, who are going to support that as well. So if you're interested, anyone in DC, I would love to have people on that in that network. Next month on May 12th at 8 a.m. is our quarterly meeting, and we're going to obviously take that on Zoom. So that is, you can go to this TAMA calendar here and find out all about what's happening and when it's happening. So that's here, yeah. And right inside the event is the Zoom link for that event. so anyone can attend. And then the other, so we work with all of these states. And like I said, those networks, you know, we are by, for, and about teaching artists. It is all volunteer. I'm the co-founder. I'm right now the web developer until we get some funds to be able to create our website more extensively. But now with this downtime in my life, I'm finding time to update our website a little bit more. That's how I was able to make this TAMA calendar, you know, so things are, I'm excited about what's coming on our website in the next couple of weeks here. So keep checking back with us as we really flesh out this network section. Because like you can come down to Maryland, you'll see, if you click on Maryland, you see downtown Tacoma and then the Gateway Arts District, right? And look, Uncle Devin is right there featured. He's attended some of our meetings. So yeah, and then District of Columbia, we don't have anything officially listed here. But if anyone here is interested in being a local coordinator for any part of the DC area, please reach out to us. We even have a guide of how simple it is. You do not have to be a master teaching artist or expert in teaching artistry. You know, you just have to have an interest in building that connective tissue. So I encourage everybody to, why would you want to do that? Because I have a list. Why would you want to do that? I have 5 reasons. You want to participate in TAMA because you're going to be inspired and you're going to inspire others. You're going to take part in professional development that is free and is responsive to your present needs. You're going to access information that is both relevant to your local area, statewide, and region. You're going to be part of a collective voice to advocate for TAs. You're going to cultivate respect to the title and profession of teaching artists. You're going to identify new opportunities for collaboration. That's another exciting part of it, is like we're working across mediums here. In all of our meetings, we are only teaching artists. We're teaching artists. We're not arts administrators. I've been an arts administrator myself. But this is a meeting that is just for teaching artists to really, we can talk freely about the challenges that we are experiencing and how we can respond collectively to those. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts?
In the chat, Joanna Luton, she's the arts director at Capital City Public Charter School. She wrote about what is the best way for schools to contact individual artists to hire them to do online master classes or Zoom workshops with students. And Joanna, if you want to elaborate or anything on your question.
No, I mean, we still have, you know, the budget. Obviously, our school budget was approved way before any of this happened. So I still have visiting artist stipend money in my budget, which, you know, got shot through I had to cancel a whole bunch of things in the spring, but I don't see why we couldn't do this online. I don't know if there's a clearinghouse or various organizations just to kind of contact people and work things out, because I do have visiting artist money that I want to spend, and it sounds like people need it. So I was just wondering if anybody had any advice about that.
I wanted to give Tama a chance to respond to that first, to see if you had anything. There might be some ways for the DC Collaborative or Washington Performing Arts or something to set you up with someone. We have a teaching artist listserv that we just started, and I can send that out. But yeah, Jennifer, be happy for you to share.
Yeah, we send out a newsletter regularly. We can certainly post any job postings that you would like to share. If you have that need, we can certainly put a call out for folks. That is something that we are working on creating on our website. Is back in January, we launched a fundraiser for requiring all teaching artists to, not requiring, but inviting teaching artists to donate $20 so that we could work towards creating an online platform that would feature every teaching artist in our region. So that it would be searchable by medium, by communities and that teaching artists prefer to work with. It could be searchable then too by online, if they do online work and that kind of thing. So that is something that is in our future. Obviously, we have to put our fundraising behind that kind of on a back burner right now, but that is in our future.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah.
When you were talking about the meeting where all the artists were going to come together and share ideas, I thought, ooh, that'd be interesting. But then you said it's only for teaching artists. So
yeah,
I think that doesn't sound like a good place for me to join and then say, ooh, that project sounds cool. So, but you're saying that would not be a good place.
Yeah, I mean, we do certainly have guests to that, but it does present it make a hardship because there's no way that we would be able to answer every arts organization's to set up a situation where every arts organization could attend one of those meetings because there's just so many in our whole entire region. And we don't want to appear as if we're favoring one over the other, of course, right? So we are trying to limit those our salon series to just teaching artists so that we can freely speak about the challenges and respond to those challenges that we're having collectively. But I do think the newsletter and the emails that go out, we also have a Facebook page and Instagram. We can always connect to you in that way and get that information out. We definitely want to put teaching artists in touch with our partners, our arts partners, and the needs that the arts partners are having. Does that answer it, Joanna?
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
I have a question for you, Jennifer, then. Would it be possible for, and we can have this conversation offline too, but maybe could the collaborative partner with TAMA on a DC specific?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we have partners, state arts councils partner with us across the region. So we would love that, yeah.
Then maybe if that were the case, then maybe we could open it up so that Joanna and others could be part of that too if we keep it focused on DC. Would that work?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Let's figure, Tracey, right? Let's figure that out.
Yeah,
maybe that's the way.
And I was going to say, well, first of all, thank you, Jennifer, so much on working on behalf of all of us teaching artists.
No,
there has been.
We're working on it together, Sylvia, together. I'm not doing it. Yeah.
But I just wanted to say, I find that it's just so important. You know, I have so many roles. I also work as a teaching artist, as a teacher, as an administrator. And I find that conversation sometimes, that it's so important to happen for the teaching artists to advocate for themselves and for the field, to bring to the administrators, to bring some light and clarity. And sometimes I find that honest conversation, that hard conversation isn't really there. So maybe what Lissa just proposed right before I talked, if the collaborative can just be a platform in which we could bring administrators and teaching artists together and have somebody mediate that salon and bring to light the difficulties that sometimes administrators and salaried people do not realize about the teaching artist world.
For sure.
Anyway, I just find that it would bring a little bit more empathy and maybe a little bit more collaboration, bringing everybody together. So thank you, Lissa, for proposing this. And again, thank you very much.
Yeah. We definitely, I don't want to say that there aren't those intersections, and those intersections are critical. And we definitely have our state arts councils meetings that we host, and where we partner. It's also equally important for teaching artists to be able to have a private conversation so that we can understand collectively what our experience is and how we need to move forward to advocate and to share that story to the arts administrators without feeling as if we are going to lose our jobs.
Right, there's always that chance.
So
Yeah,
true.
it's a balance. So how do you balance that, right? And that's what this is an opportunity for.
Yeah, I think that's so true, Jennifer. We like to think of the DC Collaborative as that neutral connector, that neutral connective tissue. Sometimes we call ourselves Switzerland, which I don't even know if that makes sense anymore, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, because we want to make sure that we can work in a place that's of respect and transparency, and know that we have to advocate 24/7, and it's not just to council or the mayor, but to advocate for ourselves and to advocate for teaching artists. And maybe if there is this more neutral platform, we would hope that the collaborative and TAMA together could we could lay out those ground rules, and so that it is a safe space and a space of support and respect. Because right now is the time for teaching artists to voice their concerns and needs to administration of institutions, right, and to the schools. So maybe there is a way we can preface the conversation that way, you know, knowing that it's a safe space, so that the artists, the teaching artists, are comfortable sharing more.
And Jennifer, I can wait till you're done with your presentation too. Sylvia actually participated, and we call our networking events speed dating workshops, because people rotate and talk to each other, but there's usually like a mini panel discussion before them for 30 minutes. And we had one a couple years ago where teaching artists interacted with organizations, and we're trying to explore ways to do that virtually. We did have one planned at the Shakespeare Theater for this spring, but have canceled it, obviously. We also just started the teaching artist listserv, and we have a practitioner bank for teaching artists on our website that teachers can look at. I can talk more about this when you're done, but just so people are aware too.
Yeah, that just made me think about, you know, our Zoom account allows us to do breakout rooms and breakout sessions. So that might be a great place for us to host that kind of thing. For organizations to have a one-on-one with a teaching artist. An organization could be assigned to a specific room, and then you just move in and out of those rooms. That's one way that we're moving towards making our like the Monday TA cafes. We can break out into different regions. You know, we can have a full group, but you know, once it becomes really over 8 people, people start to feel as if they are not in the space together, right? Because they're not talking a lot. Like, I'm doing all this talking and I'd rather have you guys talk. So yeah, so our Zoom account allows us that once we get over 8, we can have a big meeting together and then move into the breakout rooms in smaller groups with, you know, all the music teaching artists can come together, or, you know, if folks are really worried about finances, they can go into a room together. Wherever the need is, that's how we can set that up. I am pretty much done with, we have our Facebook account that you can, and also with our Facebook account, we have like a DMV group as well. We have a teaching artist sharing and caring page. We have small little sectors where people can connect with us. Then we have an Instagram account too, to check us out there as well. And we have a blog, and actually Tom Howell was featured in February, I believe, at this. I don't even know what month we are in anymore. Yeah, I think it was February, Tom, yeah? So yeah, and we're always looking for content from teaching artists themselves for that, for the blog. And that just started in January, and we try to post something once a month. And then our newsletter goes out every 4 months, and we have a quarterly member meeting every 4 months as well. Yeah.
I have something for the blog coming up here. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Can we circle back to something you were talking about before?
Yes. I want to say goodbye to Uncle Devin. Bye. All right. Talk to you later. Okay. Yes. Who wants to circle back? Yeah.
I do. So I just want to be really blunt we started this with hearing about teaching artists, understandably, being deeply concerned about losing income. I can't even imagine what's that like. My school, we are set. They're committed to paying us at least through the school year. So again, to me, one of the most important things is there are places like my school that are desperately interested and in need of and are able to fund teaching artists doing master classes or one and done workshops, whatever. And there are teaching artists out there who need work. So to me, that's the most important thing, is connecting these two groups of people. So again, I really want to shout out Lissa and Tracey and Clarissa and the whole team for maybe being the place. I hate to use the word clearinghouse, but I look here, I look there. It's just super confusing. Some people have like representation. I don't hear back from them. So I think the most important thing we can do right now is connect these two groups of people that really need each other. I can't imagine there's any more important work that we need to do. So again, listen, Tracey, for all the ideas they have and the Zoom meeting and the speed dating online, I am so in favor of. Thanks.
And I just strongly encourage you too, Joanna, to send any information about that, because we can get it out to the teaching artists that are on our mailing list as well. We have over 400 folks. But there are challenges with the online work. Not every teaching artist has the capacity to do that, right? And the quality. I just spoke to a teaching artist who's working in Southern Prince George's County yesterday, who her third grade student got stopped in the middle of class and said, I gotta go because I'm on my mom's phone and my mom's an essential worker. And what that presents, the inequities of online teaching. And so my colleague, she shared with me the stress, the secondary trauma that this situation is presenting to her. So I want to be, for Tama's perspective, we're also being present to that and awake and aware to that.
And Joanna, I think I need to talk with Trey and Clarissa after this, but we do have teaching artists in school workshops available typically through our Arts and Humanities for Every Student program. We don't know if they're able to modify their program for distance learning, but we can reach out to the people who participate in the program and see and connect with them also. So that's something we can do in the short term if it takes us a little bit to get this up and running. I'll also put up the list of our practitioner bank down here. There's most of our practitioners have made a profile on here. There have been some more people that have joined us since I've updated it. I also wanted to share that our friends at TAMA, I was on their website earlier, they have a really good resource page. And we talked last time about perhaps the DC Collaborative making a resource page too, and I just had jotted down some things that Devin Walker shared. But then in the meantime, that week, some of our friends from the Kennedy Center who don't have their contact list at home and they're furloughed shared us a list that they began compiling of teaching artist resources during COVID-19. So I'm just going to paste that in here. I'm sorry, Uncle Devin left before I was able to share this, but I'll make sure he gets this and that this is in the digest and the notes. But this is something that is like very much just like a Google Doc that they started and then just weren't able to finish because they're furloughed and they're not able to access their contacts list. So it's definitely shareable for everybody. And yeah, Jennifer, thank you. And Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing all of those links. I'll make sure that's in the digest too. Lissa, do you have anything else to add?
Can I add one other thing? Is one thing that the Teaching Artists of the Mid-Atlantic and Teaching Artists Guild and the Association of Teaching Artists are thinking about is the impact that one teaching artist has on the collective of teaching artists, the field of teaching artists. So if one of us jumps to make changes in how we do our work, or you know, the quality of suddenly doing online platforms and not, you know, and we're not having these collective discussions about it, it impacts us all and the future of our work and how we present our value. And so that is something that is embedded in all of what I'm trying to talk about here today. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of say, just keep pushing and challenging us to think about how important it is for teaching artists to come together and network and build that connective tissue.
Absolutely, now more than ever. And also not to create silos even within that collaborative spirit, you know, go to those resources that are established. And like you said, have TAMA be richer and stronger for it. You know, don't start to create new things. Like even for us, we don't want to silo this work. It's too important. And the needs of teaching artists and practitioners, it's just too important right now. So partnering with TAMA on community conversations, that's the way to go for us as a community. And that's what we should all be looking at as we move forward and navigating what we're in now and what comes next. But the collaborative has wanted, even in good times, you know, after last year's Teaching Artists Institute, we wanted to, and we're working towards having more intentionality in being supportive of our teaching artist community, because we know how important it is here in the district. But also, again, not reinventing the wheel. So finding more ways for us to work with folks like Jennifer at TAMA. Now we know this is how we have to do this work. And also, Jennifer, really appreciate you sharing that story. It's always painful to hear about the inequities. You know, that equity piece is so important to what the collaborative has always been about, but now more than ever. And we really have to figure out how do we as the arts and creative educators help to make that change as well right now. So thank you for sharing that. We know that the school district here, DCPS, and the charters have been working hard to get technology and broadband access to the students that need it. But we know those stories of students needing to share resources, like your student from PG County, is still a challenge, and we're not there yet. And so we have to think about who are the other stakeholders we have to make sure are aware and in the conversations that we have now moving forward too. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share with Jennifer before we wrap it up? No? Well, Jennifer, let's all give Jennifer a big hug and applause and jazz hands.
I would love to say something.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. There you are. Hi. Okay.
is it unreasonable to expect somehow like a government sanctioned hub for all of this stuff? You know what I mean? I just feel like this information is so overwhelming, on top of there being overwhelming information, on top of there being even other, for mothers, for teachers, you know, for families, families don't have access. So is there a chance?
It's something that I think the Association of Teaching Artists, the Teaching Artists Guild, and there's like 5 other organizations with TAMA that are working to think about how to do that. Because I am overwhelmed. I have 40 emails a day with, oh, more relief. These are ways to connect. Right. And it's exhausts. Like, I just don't want to answer my email anymore. Right.
It's encouraging. So many resources, but it doesn't make, there's no sense.
What's the important one? What's the one of value to continue to, totally get it. Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering if you guys knew anything. Thank you.
Trying.
And we'll certainly do our part at the collaborative to stay on top of that too, and staying in close reach with Jennifer and others in our community so that we can identify those resources. We do have in our distance learning database supplementary materials. They're mostly specifically arts and humanities education focused materials that the parents can use and utilize. But we know that we need to continue to put up more resources on COVID-19 response. And we do have a landing page on our website as well. Tracey, if you could just pop the link in there for folks to see. This is where we can continue to populate with information that we know can be useful. But again, you're right. It's so overwhelming because everyone's trying to do the same thing. And if there could just be one central resource, and if we identify one that we think has a lot of information in it, we'll be sure to share that, because we don't necessarily want to be the go-to for it either.
Right.
Make sure we've got the right info for everyone though.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. This is clearly a conversation we need to keep going. We need to stay connected and feel the respect, love, and gratitude that we all have for teaching artists, for educators, for arts administrators, for all of us that are trying to do this work, for those of us that are also concurrently trying to teach our children at home and deal with our own norms. I mean, because we're all affected by this. And it's really mind-blowing. When you really think about it, and it can keep you up and forever, but we have to make sure we fold in self-care. This is something that we talk a lot about, and self-care can be self-care is free. There are things you can do. It only costs you your time, and your time is really valuable. So find ways to organize your days, and even if you're not feeling like it, do something good for yourself. It's so important. I know I slipped the other day. I don't mean slipped physically. I mean, I slipped in not doing self-care activity. I said, oh, I'm not gonna go for a walk today. I don't feel like it. No, force yourself to do these things. That's what I'm learning. It's so important. We at the collaborative are trying to keep that in mind. We've always had a focus on self-care in the office, certainly in the last year plus. And now more than ever, we know how important that is for us. So just know that we're always here every day, weekday. We won't be here tomorrow, however, because it is DC Emancipation Day, yes. So we all take that day off and reflect on that and take care of ourselves, okay? So we'll see you on Friday, and we'll have more conversations with Jennifer and with each of you. But thank you again, Jennifer. And Tom, thank you so much for the demo this morning. That was awesome. Yay, jazz hands. Thank you all. Everyone be well.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye. Jennifer, I will follow up with you.
Yeah. I was just going to hold on here for a little bit